Senior at Williamsburg High School for Architecture and Design, and I'm here today with my partner,
Kaylin, Guzman. I am also a senior at Williamsburg High School for Architecture and Design.
and unfortunately our partner, Milana Balbuena, wasn't able to make it. She's on a business trip right now, and together we created the MJK team. So today we're here to present our ideas about the Lake Como project. We'll be going through the demographic of Lake Como, the goals and priorities that was presented to us, and also the living shoreline, what it entails and what we had planned for it. The pollinators, such as the butterflies and the bees. Attracting pollinators, also attracting people to come here, because I know that was one of your main priorities. We also have some ideas that we would like to propose to you with research parks to explain our ideas.
So as you all know, Lake Como is a body of water surrounded by three main boroughs, being Belmar, Spring Lake, and Lake Como.
So the demographic of Lake Como is that there's approximately 1,500 people living in Lake Como. The population changes between the winter time and the summertime because most people come here to visit the beach and the lake during the summer, whereas in the winter it's really cold being near two bodies of water. And some people decide to leave at that time, and the population tends to shift. There's also median age, so average age of 42, 43. And the male to female ratio would be 1.2 to 1. So there's more females here.
No, more men.
And
no, there's more men.
No, too.
There's more men.
Oh,
there's more men.
My bad. There's more men. So there is families with kids that are under 18, there's 42%, and people who have been married 15 years or longer, 48%.
So your priorities and goals were to keep an environmental theme across the whole project, and that's one of the things we mainly focused on. We also included improvements along the footpath in order to create better atmosphere for both the environment and tourist attraction, in order to help people come and visit your lovely town.
So we wanted to create a living shoreline, and if you don't know what a living shoreline is, it's basically a spot where there is flora or trees growing where the shoreline, where the water meets the land, and it has many different layers. So some people think it's just where the grass grows or where the sand is, but really there's also where the pebbles and rocks prevent the water from going any further up, and the slope where where runoff comes on. So we wanted to create the living shoreline. We had some spots highlighted here, here, and here. That would be specifically where the living shorelines would be, because unfortunately we're not able to outline the whole area of the Lake Como because it would be too much for the lake.
So here are some examples of plants that can be used during the living shoreline. These would be part of the first layer of the living shoreline. So right in the water, so that it could create a barrier between the land and the water and help with flooding and create diversity for new species to come in. These shrubs also create diversity and also bring an aesthetic appeal to the living shoreline, and also help create more diversity. And these trees can also be incorporated along the footpath in order just to have more that natural appeal to the community. So this is an important part of our project and how we picked different colors for the flowers we want to use and incorporate. I know it's important for you guys to become an environmental statement into other communities. So we looked at bees, and important part of bees is that they can't see anything from red and down. They can see it, but it's more of a muddy color. So we would want to stick to colors that are yellow, green, or violet in order for them to come and be attracted to your living shoreline. So these are just some examples of plants. There are different species of these plants that we can use, different colors, different variations, and along each flower, it's best if we use several patches of these flowers in order for them to be more attracted to them, because it's more effective. These are also other flowers. For each flower patch, we can have little like blurbs of what bees are attracted to them and what it's helping the community do and how it will affect in the future.
So these are some proposed ideas about footpaths and walking. Like, bro, let me tell you, it's good for you. The exercise, cardio. And we wanted people not to like walk on water like Jesus did, but like walk on top. So we wanted to create a footpath so you can not only enjoy the scenery, but be one with it. So these are some activities that we propose to be on the shoreline. There will be some footpaths like where stumps for kids to walk on, jump around. There will be a small like activity part where you like climb over some wood blocks or run along them. We also had some picnics and benches because walking also gets you hungry, and so you want to stop and eat or be under a shed so that you could cool down from all that exercise and heat.
So the proposed picnic areas, we can either have sheltered picnic areas or picnic areas where benches are turned into picnic tables, which saves space for more diversity of plants and can help keep everything more organized for the community. I know that one problem that you guys are to keeping the line of sight, so the areas and visions. So that's why we proposed either using benches like this that can turn into the tables, or you can use small sheltered picnic areas, which can also be used to plant flowers along the top of it. So we're in the 21st century. We have to present you with some modern ideas for the playground, so the kids don't always be on their phones and on their tablets looking at YouTube, where they can actually do stuff outside. So here's some concepts. You can see how the structure is like designed with some cutouts, and it's very cubic. And over here, it's very minimalistic, where there's only like a wall and a little bit of area for the kids to act like they're in a tree house and hang out together. So here are some research parks that we thought for the concept. We looked at the High Line in New York. It's a very attractive park. It's near the Vessel. It's near the Chelsea area in Manhattan. So if you ever stop by in New York City, just check that out because it's beautiful. It used to be a railway where trains used to run on,
and it ended up stopped being used because we started moving to underground. This is above ground, like above the street level, and since it stopped being used, people are like, that's an eyesore. Who wants just a above ground station that nobody is using? And so the person who created Domino Park, one of the architects who created Domino Park, also created the High Line. We'll get to Domino Park in a quick second. They created the High Line, and they thought of how can we turn a old rusty train railway into a beautiful ecosystem for New York City, which is a very industrial area. And so they removed most of the wood, replaced it with some concrete, and the rest with dirt. Now they have beautiful flora, beautiful grass, and they still have the railway. The railway is still visible. People walk on it. It's inactive, so it's pretty safe. And there's fencing so that people don't fall off.
This is one of the natural parks that we researched, and it's Prosper Park. This is an area where they used old dead trees, and created it into a park where children can go and visit and play and have fun while still using natural resources. So it's one option that you can use in order for a playground to be included, because as you guys said earlier, you don't want eyesores, but these are like smaller things that you can use in order to get more options and have a place where children can be entertained, because you will be having families coming toward your footpath.
Domino Park. Like I was talking earlier about the High Line, Domino Park is the best example of using very little to make the most out of. They used the old sugar factory, Domino Sugar Refinery, and they turned it into a beautiful footpath along the East River. They have some water features. They have a dog run, because who doesn't love dogs and like walking your dog, so they can have a small area where they can just run on mounds and play around with each other. They have a small playground for children. These are all the material that was used to create Domino Park was also a part of the old Domino Sugar Refinery. They repurposed everything. It was like they incorporated so much into so little. It's amazing. Thank you all for listening and coming here. Now we'll open it up for some questions and comments if you have any. Yes, ma'am.
I really like the idea of creating this playground with natural elements into it. I think, one of the things when I'm looking at the other playgrounds is that, they kind of disrupt the space. So I think that was a really thoughtful and innovative idea.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I also like the research you did on the pollinators. Where did you get the research on the bees? I've never heard that anywhere. That's like incredible.
Go back. Go to
The bee vision.
So I use these websites.
We got some
I
assist.
also did some research on the plants that I was looking up, and what was interesting to me was that most of the plants that they were using were plants that were colorful and bright. And one of the websites I was reading told me that the best way to have a bee garden is to have colors that aren't red, because red looks muddy to them and blends in with green, so it doesn't attract them very much. Although it can be used, it's not very effective with bees in order to attract them to like landscape like that.
Excellent.
Yes.
I like the fact that you considered the transition in terms of your vegetation between water and land. I mean, and I don't know if you're the native here, but in olden days, there used to be a lot of cattails around the lake.
Yeah.
Is that something that's, would that considered to be a benefit, a detriment?
That can also attract a lot of bees, so that's another adding on to the pollinators. And so those can be used and utilized into that part of the living shoreline if you choose to and wish to. They are native here, so it wouldn't be disrupting anything natural or.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I really like those benches turned, yeah, chair, yeah. Those were that's incredible. I could you talk a little bit more, because I know there was a question a few presentations ago about concern for sight, vision, obstructions. Could you just talk a little bit more about that design and sort of the height of those in terms of not obstruct? It sounds like it would not obstruct vision. So what that would look like, what you were envisioning.
So, as we were creating a site plan for Lake Como, our thoughts were, how can we make Lake Como not seem more industrialized and we have so much objects here that obscure its view, but instead, how can we make it more beautiful, make it so that the people living here are willing to look out the window and look at the shore and see all this stuff happening. And we thought making a small bench and turning it into a table, letting people know that we have flora that people will be attracted to, and it would be like a Instagram hotspot where people will be just coming over here and just taking pictures, getting all that attraction from millennials and our generation.
To go back to the question of size, they wouldn't be that high.
Mhm.
So about this high would be the back of the benches, about this high. And then when they fold over, they would be like your regular standard table, and they would be easy to use and fold out and fold back in order for people not to complicate themselves and be able to use these on a daily basis. So, yeah.
Yes.
I just want to thank you because it seems that your proposal is very integrated, and the functionality, multi-use, nature is balanced. And I'm sorry that I'm just posing the question to your team, but it seems to me that we have also solar power, and in the evening it seems that has not been explored by some of the presentations. The other thing is trash container locations. How would that work with the picnic areas? And the third one is if there will be a water source for the people running.
So, I've thought about that. I thought about the solar power. As for like the footpath, how it's going to be lit up, we're going to be using these small solar powered lights that will be like barely visible to people on the footpath, but like if you look onto the side, you'll notice them. And we don't have that much like electrical items in our site plan because we thought it would be best to keep it natural. And so we don't have so much items that would be necessary for solar power or electrical things. And as for the garbage and water, if you guys were to head over to Domino Park, there's like a stand, right? There's it has like water fountains for kids. They have a water bottle refilling station, and it has a dog water fountain. And it's so compact and it's beautiful, and we wanted to incorporate that too. That was why we also added Domino Park. And as for the garbage, we're from Williamsburg High School Architecture and Design, and we're all about recycling. Like, we have this program called White Plan. We recycle every week, like 3 times a week. Twice a week, okay.
A lot.
Yeah,
A lot.
but it's still a lot, like, if you think about it. And we would have like a center station where there would be garbage, like stuff that you can't recycle, water bottles, cans, and plastics. We'll have like 3 garbage areas just right next to each other, and along the footpath but not so many that it kind of disturbs the people walking along.
We can also incorporate compost bins because will be picnic areas. So anything that like a child drops or you don't finish eating and you don't want to take it home, you can leave it there, and we can use that for the plants that will be there, which will help a lot with improving the environment and keeping it all well rounded.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a question I've asked before. And, you know, Lake Como, one of our objectives is to become a place which attracts other people by doing good things, and like being a model community, a model environmental community and stuff like that. And what you've shown is a variety of different possibilities. I wonder if you put the two together and say, well, can that somehow become a model for be made into a model that other communities can use?
To answer your question, because I'm not certain, you're asking like how our ideas can be represented to model to other communities, correct?
There are 10 lakes.
Yeah.
Up and down the coast here, okay?
Yes.
They're all very similar. They run from the ocean in,
Yeah.
okay? And if we do ours, is there a way of having what we do be applicable to other lakes?
So we're using ideas from New York City because that's where we're from, but there's also some ideas like the bench table that hasn't been applied to other areas. And so seeing that you guys are the first to have these innovative ideas implemented into your lakefront, I promise you that other lakes will be looking at that and they'll be like, wow, we're behind. We need to catch up.